communicating to one another, and I think the dynamics of this whole structure, then the ambiguity of the organization will be clear. And you'll understand what it means when I say you control the organization of this, right? But everything in here can essentially be placed in any order you wanted it. You can have this the other way around, where the Python files were in SQL practice and all the environment files were in their child folder. It's not something you'll typically see, but it's totally possible to do it that way. Okay. This is just the way that I like doing it. It's what I learned, and it's how I work best, keeping things organized. But it's imperative that you do, because it's so easy to get lost. I think first week I saw a lot of people creating, pip-ems in their home folder, right? Their C users username folder. That comes from lack of understanding the working directory and also bad organization, right? All right, cool. Do you have any other questions about organization?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. All right, so let's go into pip environments. Who wants to tell me what the purpose of a pip env is? Why do we even need them? Why do we need a pip environment?
It's to have like an isolated Python environment where you can add packages and stuff just for that directory, rather than having a universal environment like Conda.
Okay, but wouldn't a universal environment, wouldn't a Conda environment work too? Like, what's the reason why we can't? Why don't we just create Conda environments? Sounds like it'd be easier. Why don't we just do that?
Because you won't be using all the packages all the time. Like, for example, like I would create like a pip environment, and if I'm only working with like SQLite or like PyMongo, I can just use a pip environment and just use PyMongo rather than having all the packages available to me, I guess, because I don't need them.
Okay. So here's the thing, though. You can do that with Conda. If I Conda created an environment, I can create an environment that only has the packages I want. So what I was looking for was reproducibility. Okay? We have to remember that right now you're working by yourself, but that typically will not be the case. In fact, you will spend more time on a team than anything else. Okay? So everything that you do has to be reproducible. If someone else wanted to, if I said, hey, okay, you're having an issue, I said, send me your project folder. I should be able to put it on my computer and within 15 seconds have that environment up and running and recreating your error, right? The best way to do that is to have a pip environment that gives me all of the tools that I need to do that right away. Okay?
I shouldn't have to send your Conda environment to people. You have to send your pip environment to people, and then people can. Oh, I see. Okay.
You send your pipenv. It comes with the files needed. Every installation of Python comes default with pipenv in a virtual environments. Okay, Conda does not.
That's because of the lock the lock file. That's because of the lock file.
Well, the lock file keeps the integrity of these sub-dependencies. We're not really going to get too much into that. Just understand that things are installed from the lock file, not from the pip file. Okay. So when you add something to the pip file, it's not actually doing anything with that except keeping a written record of it. Everything of importance is in the pip file.log.
But those two files together tell you or allow you to be able to do that.
Correct. Yes. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's the whole reason. I wanted to get that out because I think there was some confusion there about why pipenv was even used. And, a lot of people are like, I'm just going to use a Conda environment. I'm like, that's okay. You'll be able to work with your Conda environment, but understand that if I ask you, if you need help, now we got to go through a whole other process. So you have to export your YAML file for your Conda environment so I can get that set up in order to run it. It's going to take a lot longer. Versus if you have a pipenv, you can just drop me the project folder and I'll have that up within seconds. Right. So key point I wanted to make there. So we're going to create a pipenv. And in order to do that, we need to make sure of something, right? So if you start out, say, in your root directory, you have to make sure that you are currently located your working directory, and I think a lot of you have a print working directory or PWD, right? You want to make sure that this is listed as the folder where you're going to be working out of the parent folder. Okay, it needs to be in the root folder for your project. That's something that's can't be switched around. Okay, that's where it needs to be, because it has to apply to that folder and everything subdirectory and all child folders, I should say. Okay, so we're going to make sure that the first thing that we do when we're getting ready to start a new project is that we get our terminal also in the same folder directory that we want to be in. And in this case, it's going to be ds local, SQL practice, SQL. Oh my God. There we go. Right. So now we're in the right folder. Excellent. We can go ahead and run our pipenv install. And in fact, yeah, pipenv install. And I'm going to want pandas, PG2. What else am I going to need?
Is this where you do Python also?
What's that?
Is this where you do Python also?
You could, yeah. If I wanted to specify a particular installation, like my default installation I already know is the Anaconda 3 installation, version 3.7.4. However, if I had another version on my computer that I wanted to use, I could specify that by saying Python 3.8, right? And then if I have that version available, it will use that instead. In my case, the default's fine. Pandas and PsychoPG2. I think I have that available. We're just going to go ahead and run that. And that should start creating the virtual environment. I see that. And two things it's telling me here, I want to point this out again, is where the pip file is going and what Python version it's being used to create this environment. Okay, make note of those, because if something's wrong, that's probably where you're going to get your clue about what's wrong. Okay.
I have a question. Like when you just adding this packages, and later you're going to open pipenv shell, and like during your working, and you figure out that you have to upload or install another package. Should you leave the pipenv, install it, and go back, or you install another package while you in pipenv?
You can install another package while you're in the pipenv.
Okay.
But it would be best practice. Okay, no. Let me renege on that. I'm going to renege on that because I don't want to give you the wrong idea. That can lead to an error. Okay. So what I'm going to say is no. Leave the pipenv install from the same working directory, and then shell back in. That's the way you need to do it. That way you can be sure that your shell has the updated package list, I should say.
How do you leave it again?
Exit.
Just exit. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Just exit. Did it hang on me, or is it still working? Come on. It's the only thing I hate about pipenv. Sometimes it can take a minute. And it's not pipenv's fault. It's my computer's fault.
I was about to say mine's like instant most of the time.
That's because you're on a Linux kernel, my friend.
True.
C probably has the same situation where hers is like instant. It just works. Windows users have this issue.
If you do a pip install, not a pipenv, where does it install to? The Conda environment?
Nope, the default pip environment.
What?
Yep, there can be multiple, and that's part of the confusion. You want to make sure that you're in an environment before you do a pip install, so that way you know exactly where that package is being installed.
Which environment? Like a pipenv environment?
It can be. But pipenv environments, you have to pipenv install, right?
Yeah, there's pipenv install, and then
but you can have
install,
you can have
pip install.
That's what I'm trying to say. You can have multiple versions of Python installed on the same machine. So you can have Python 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, and 3.8. Each of them has their own pip directory. So depending on which one it decides you're going to be currently using, when you pip install, it could go to any of them.
So pip is Python.
Yeah, because I've
What were you saying, C?
I've pip3 installed something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you used the default Python 3, whatever that was. So that could have been Python 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, whatever you had installed on your machine that was aliased under Python 3. Came with pip3. So that could be a little confusing. I think this song.
I've had issues.
There we go.
There you go.
No, I hit Control C. It was sung, but I needed to do a shortcut, and now it's working.
I've had issues installing PsychoPG without putting PsychoPG binary.
It's because you need a C compiler. You have to build it. I might hit the same problem. We're going to find out. And if I do, that's okay. I just need to build the package.
So for that, it's best to have binary.
You can. It's a different setup that doesn't need to be compiled. Now, important to note that if I was going to hit a problem, you see how it says installing PsychoPG2 and then adding PsychoPG2 to pip files packages. Installation succeeded. That does not mean I have actually installed the package. That is totally like a misnomer. Okay. Well, all that actually means is that it has successfully found the packages or the package names and added them to the pip file. Nothing happens really until this bar shows up right here and completes. That's the actual package installation part. Okay. So just the point that I wanted to make so that way you guys are aware. In fact, when you see the green success here,
what's that?
That's a good indication that everything's going to work.
Yeah, it is.
All right, cool. So now we're ready to get into this shell. Let's go ahead and bust a move. You'll notice on my terminal that the funny prefix doesn't show up. It's because I'm on PowerShell, and base is the only thing that you see. However, if I do a pip list,
yeah, Crystal's gonna go. The other mode has water broke. Is taking a cast.
You gotta be kidding me, man.
And Crystal's gonna go check on her at 9.
It's gonna be like that. There we go. Once I deactivate base, I'm now working out of the pip environment that I set up. So it is there, it's just not showing up as a prefix. Okay. Most terminals, command prompts, stuff like that, they're gonna have that prefix. Okay.
I'm gonna go open the other coop.
Cool. Any questions? Any other questions about pipenv? Real quick, let me. Oh, dude, I didn't sign into Bethany's account. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that. Okay, real quick before we time out, let me demonstrate the process for installing a new package when you're already in your shell. Okay. So let's say that I've been doing some work and I now realize that I need to install scikit-learn, something easy. Okay. What I want to do first is type exit to get out of the pipenv shell. So now I'm back in my base shell. Okay. And I want to type in pipenv install scikit-learn. Right. Or the name of the package that you need to install.
Why exit out of your shell to pipenv install?
We want to make sure that the shell gets the updated information from the locking procedure. Otherwise, it won't have access. It possibly won't have access to that package if you don't leave the shell and then come back in. I don't really want to get into the the reason why it's possibly and not for sure will or for sure won't. But just take my word for it. The best practice is leave the shell, install the package, re-enter the shell. That will avoid any potential problems.
Okay.
And now we wait patiently for it to lock.
So while we're waiting, I have another question. Like, I rarely have a smart question, but I just want to know. I mean, for everybody, my questions are funny or too easy. But sometimes I'm creating pipenv shell, and like next day when I'm opening my terminal and I'm just changing directory to the file where my work is, I'm not entering to the pipenv, but I still can do the changes if I'm in the same directory. Understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's because if you have a default environment or the default pip, you probably have those packages installed in that environment. But it should be noted that you want to make sure that you have all that in your pipenv. Again, not for your benefit, but for the benefit of anyone who you might need to be sharing this package with. Okay.
I was just thinking that if I'm going to that directory without entering in the pipenv shelf, I will not be able to have all the packages.
That's not entirely true. If you go into it without going into your pipenv shell, you're using your conda base shell more than likely. Okay, or rather, I should say the conda base environment, which means that you have access to all of these packages up here, right? All of those. Okay, and that means you will still be able to do the work that you need to do, but it could be possible that when you need to share this code with somebody, and so you send them your pip file and your pip file.lock, it doesn't have access to the package that they need, right? So they create the environment and then the code doesn't run. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's just like this kind of little questions, they're confusing, like because you don't know whom to ask about them, but you want to make it clear for yourself, you know?
Yeah, that's true. It's good questions. All around good questions. I just really wish this wouldn't take 5 minutes to lock. This is a brand new computer. What is happening? No, I have to remind myself it's not the computer. It's my system. It's freaking Windows. All right, there we go. Cool. So now we're ready to get back into the shell. Oh, pipenv. I got to get back on this window. Right, go back into our shell. And we can actually go ahead and look. Make sure that I'm looking at the correct environment. I want to get rid of that base prefix. And then I can pip list to ensure that I have, there it is. Scikit-learn and snap. Cool. Any other questions about pip environments? Why we need them, what they do, etc., etc.?
If I wanted to install pip environment outside of my conda base environment, would I do a pip install to do it? So it would install to what? How would I install it then? Because I can't do a conda install. I can't do a pipenv install.
Check it out. Yeah, you can. You can. Check it out. Yeah, let me exit this. So now I'm in no environments. None. Okay? I have no conda, environment, and no pip environment. Okay? If I type pip list, I have access to the conda base environment. All of these packages I have access to, which happen to include pipenv.
I literally cannot do that. I can't pipenv out of my conda. It doesn't work. It will just say it does not exist.
Does not exist. Do you have pip list and see if pipenv is one of the packages that shows up?
Let me see. Conda deactivate. Pip is not a thing.
Pip is not a thing.
I would have to.
I just installed it with my standard package manager.
Yeah, I think I would do it. App install. I guess. I thought I've already done that. That's a little weird. That
I would check your path file, man. It sounds like because you should have a pip. Every Linux distro comes with some version of Python and some version of pip. So you should have some base environment, and that base environment should always have pipenv in it.
I mean, my base does, but
no,
not
conda base does. But that means that you're not getting your path doesn't show the default base environment from outside of that conda base. Yeah, it's starting to get a little confusing. This is so you guys remember that that comic strip where you have the crazy arrows going everywhere and all the different environments and stuff, and no one knows which pip's going where, which package goes to which environment, stuff like that. You're experiencing that pain right now. That's what's happening. Okay, stuff's not set up just right. That being said, you should be able to pip install something. So you need to maybe just download.
Yeah, I'm about to right now.
Or rather, install. Yeah, install pip.
Okay, if in my case, I never I'm using the, wait a second, command prompt. That's why Anaconda is not my, I don't have a base when I'm going to command prompt. I'm just having straight away, it's my seed statist and wherever, user, you know? You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Something wrong, or I just changed it? Or
No.
the
That's
command prompt like that.
Does it pop up with the prefix base?
Just a second. It's pop-ups just like it starts with a C, columns and a slash, users and Yulia, and a caret. Sorry, that's it.
Okay, so no base in parentheses?
Nope.
Okay. Type in where conda. And does anything return?
It returns like a C, user, Yulia, Anaconda 3, Conda bin, Conda bat, and like a and two more. Like again, repeating the C, user, Yulia, Anaconda 3 scripts, Conda X. And then,
yeah, that's fine. Run conda space init init, and then restart your shell. And on that note, guys, we have 1 minute 30 seconds left. I'm going to log into Bethany's account real quick so I have unlimited time, okay? And I'll start this back up. So give me just a minute. I'll drop the new link in the team channel.
The repo we've been working from this week and had some fun, strange error. Like it's trying to pull in the local host, which I didn't enter anywhere. It's kind of weird. So like it seems like the dot end of the thing is not working optimally. I don't know where the issue came from, but also it's importing .env, but it's not in the pip environment. So I'm not sure how it's working kind of and not working and then also not there.
Oh boy, there's another one. Yeah, no, I can help you one-on-one with that.
Yeah, it's not really a major issue though.
Yeah, I will definitely be available to help you one-on-one. I want to be clear about something though. I think someone clicked on the wrong link. I just got an email. I think Adrian clicked on the wrong link. So yeah, I want to be clear though. You will not have to do an environment when you do your sprint challenge. Okay, it's an important skill. It's one you should definitely have in your toolbox. It's not imperative that you know it for the sprint challenge. Okay, just don't get hung on it. That's something you can explore more on your leisure.
Yeah.
You
We're not really
much?
doing anything with connections of the sprint challenge, like connecting to remote anything.
Nothing.
That's weird. It seems like what the week's all about anyway.
It's no, you just do it a lot. I have really bad news for you guys. In fact, I want to talk about this.
Mom's on her way.
For no more than 15 minutes, so I have an hour to go over the SQL stuff. Okay, let me talk about this real quick. You guys are absolutely going to freaking despise next week. Okay, have you done next week yet?
Hey.
All right, you're going to be doing Flask.
Oh, okay.
Except it's not really about Flask.
Okay.
It's the most confusing thing in the world. Okay? They're going to have you sign up for something like a Twitter API, and then you're going to have to download something that they're going to actually tell you, don't worry about how it works, just copy this code. Okay? The one thing I freaking hate.
Yeah, that's a real shame.
Okay? So they're going to have you install and use Basilica to do NLP on Twitter, Twitter tweets.
Sure.
Okay? For what reason, I have no idea, because this is like, okay, here's something really basic like Flask, and then we're just going to take that bar and we're just going to put it on the top level. Right? So go, you have to just go be a master at creating APIs now. Right? But then you do your sprint challenge, and it has nothing to do with that.
What does the sprint challenge have to do with?
Creating a really basic Flask app.
Oh, okay. So really it's about familiarity with Flask and not necessarily getting the
But you spend 4 days working on the Twitter API, the Basilica, the predictions Python file, the all that stuff. Not on building the Flask API.
All right. Well, now
that's
I know what to
basically
teach
given
myself
to you
next week.
Yeah, you pretty much will. In fact, I'll probably be like, okay, listen to the lecture. Cool. Now toss that out the window. Let me teach you. Because next week is the week I hate. I can't stand it. It's horrible. Okay. That being said, everything that you cover in that is still pretty important. The base template for the Flask app is pretty much given to you. Okay. But the problem is that you look over it so much that you don't really learn what it is.
Right.
Okay. Because you're so busy dealing with Twitter.
Extrapolate that to something new.
Exactly. So that kind of gets thrown to the wayside. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that, guys. That was important intel. Just be aware that there is the possibility that I may have to abruptly end this call. If that happens, I apologize, and I'll try to make up for that later. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Yeah, not sure yet. Okay. Yeah. So as I was saying, hey, next week, focus on the Flask app. Don't care about Twitter. If you even build the app, I don't care. Right. That's really where I'm at, because all that matters is that you learn Flask next week. Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, now getting off topic. For this week, yeah, it seems like you spend a lot of time working on all these connections and stuff. You're going to be given a database file. It's going to be an SQLite 3 file. You'll be asked to answer questions about it using code. Right? That's it. That's the extent.
Right.
It's going to ask you some questions about what's ACID, which you'll learn tomorrow. And it's going to ask you questions about NoSQL and I think a question about Postgres. Actually, no. I think it just asks you a question about ACID and NoSQL as auxiliary link you answer on your own words, right? But that's it. That's all there is to it. So this, this stuff we're doing where we're creating environment files, we are, linking up to databases on the web and stuff like that, hosted servers, dedicated servers, is not a thing that you will be doing for the sprint challenge. It is a thing that you could see yourself doing in the future, right? So it's something you definitely want to be aware
Absolutely.
of. But now's not the time to get hung on that, right?
All right, that's very, very helpful.
Yeah. All right, cool. So now that being said, let's do some of that stuff that you're going to be expected to do on your sprint challenge. Let's work with SQL.
All right. So their databases, and they're either DB or a SQLite 3 usually, right?
Yeah, it's probably going to be a .db file. That's still SQLite 3. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So from here, right, we have a couple of things going on. I've got a couple of files laid out already. This, like I said, though, I typically start in the REPL. Okay, and that I think is an important part of the process because it gets me familiar with what I'm working with and the code that I need to be running. Okay, so I want to demonstrate part of that process now. All right. Also, I'm not in the environment, and it gives me a warning about that.
You want to share your screen?
Michelle.
Can you share your screen, please?
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. I'm sorry. There we go. You guys see that? All right.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm in the REPL, or rather I should be. All right, I'm in the Python REPL here. And one of the first things that I want to do is actually reference this RGB. So I need to set this up, right? Oh, okay, I didn't actually click on it. But I want to open this up and take a look at it. All right, I want to get to the point where I can do queries on this database. And I'm going to need a couple packages for that. I'm going to need SQLite 3. And I'm going to alias that as SQL. Okay. And actually, I think this is the only one I need. So what's the first step? The first step into getting into any database is create a connection. Okay. And I'm going to type all this out. You can shorthand these variables if you want. And it's kind of irrelevant. Okay. But I need to create an SQL. Remember, that's the alias for the SQLite 3 package. .connect. Okay. And then I need to give it a string with a relative path to the RGBDB, or rather to our database that we're going to be working with. Okay. Now I started this prompt in the base directory or in SQL practice. So as far as this prompt is concerned, that's where I'm at. So if I want to reference this file, I'm in the same directory as it. I could just put in RPGDB, SQLite 3. Okay. And this will work. And then I can give myself a cursor. Right? This is the thing that's actually going to be ferrying the commands back and forth between on that connection. Right? Remember my car and my highway analogy from before? And that's what this is. So we're going to create that now. And that's a method of connection. Right? We're going to create that cursor. And now we can do things off of cursor. Okay? This is going to be our primary method of transportation. Okay? So whenever we execute a command, we're going to be doing it like this, right? And in fact, I'll just go ahead and do that real quick, a real simple one. Select all from, oh boy, character creator underscore character. Oh,
It's just character.
oh, it's just character. Like, I'm trying to remember that from memory, and I think I came pretty close. Okay, and make sure that you would write this the same way that you would if you were doing a real SQL query. So you need the semicolon as well. Anybody know what would happen if you didn't include the semicolon? Open forum.
Vegas would open up and you'd run your luck.
What? No. No. What'll happen is the code will execute, and then when you try to run your next query, it won't work. It'll give you syntax errors.
Yeah.
Because the only thing you would have to do at that point is execute a semicolon. Right? It needs that line to end. Okay. All right. Cool. But just be on the safe side. Make sure that whenever you write a query, you always end it on a semicolon. Okay. So we're going to run this, and we should get the output as a cursor object. Like, okay, cool. How do we access that? This is why the REPL is important, right? If I tried to run this and then I wanted to get the output from this, I would now realize that this is not enough, right? I have executed the command, but I don't have any output in any format that I can use, right? This is obscure to me. I can't see this. So I need to execute another method. And one of the coolest ways to get an idea of what methods are available to you is to dir. So I can actually dir this, and I can real quick just kind of see, okay, I have execute many, script, fetch all, fetch many, fetch one. That sounds like it's getting something from somewhere, right? Fetching, that's what we want to do. This is stuff you all know. I'm just kind of walking you through the logic, by the way. Okay? Like everyone, you guys already know this stuff, but all right. So now I want to do the same thing, right? I'm going to execute. Actually, yeah. Let me just. It's not going to let me do that now. So I'm going to do the same thing, right? Cursor.execute. Then I want to end that, and now we want to do fetch all. Okay, that's a method, so we're going to call that with parentheses. Woo! That's some vomit, right? But this is good. I can get a lot of details from this. What's the first? Tell me something that you notice about this. Anything?
So the list of tuples.
It's a list of tuples. How'd you tell that right away? What was the quickest way you could tell?
I just saw a whole bunch of commas and a whole bunch of parentheses.
Whole bunch of parentheses and a whole bunch of commas. Yeah, if you look at right here at the end.
Yeah, and there's
it's a dead giveaway. Yeah. If you got a bracket and then an opening parentheses, and then you go here and you say, okay, I got another one and a comma, and now you know what you got. Just looking at this very last entry. Right? So I've got a list of tuples. Cool. What can I do with it? Well, I can do a lot of things with this. I can unpack it. And now, just to be clear, that is saved. That's not saved, rather, I should say. So this executed the command and then exited memory, right? Nothing is retained. So I ran this code and it gave me this output. Cool. Okay, I know that I'm going to want to probably do something with this output, right? I'm going to take the things from this table and I want to do something constructive with them. So I need to save them to a variable, okay? And that's the next step. So I'm going to say a CC table. Let's just do something simple, right? We'll say the CC table equals, and then the query. We'll say cursor, execute, select all from character underscore character, and then fetch all. And now CC table is that thing, right? So what happens if I do CC table, and I can index this, right? So I can say 0, and I get this first tuple. And then I can say, okay, CC table 0. I think values. No, it doesn't have attribute values. CC table 0, 1 to get the name, right? So if I were to do for value in this here tuple, print value. Oh, nope, that's not going to work. I'm dumb. For value in CC table. I was trying to be creative with names, but then I realized that's not going to work.
I was wondering where you got this here tuple from.
Yeah. I get all of the values that are coming out of this tuple. So I want someone to stretch their imagination for a moment. What could I do with that power? What could I do with that power?
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. Jacob 2020. And with another great, fantastic quote. What can you do with all that power? Lots of stuff. The dot right on the end, mic drop. Yeah, I could do a lot with this. I could put it in a data frame. I could load it into an array. I could execute code against it. I could get counts of different values. I could do just a whole number of things, right? More importantly, I can migrate this. I can bring this data from the database into Python to do work with it, right? So here, when it's saved as CC table, it is at my disposal now. Okay, this data is no longer a part of that SQL database. It is now in my hands for me to do with what I want. Does that make sense?
It still is part of the database, but it's separated out.
No, this data exists on the database, but this data here on my screen is no longer
yours.
Connected to the database.
Okay.
It is a copy.
Saved in the variable names.
Saved in the variable name, yeah. So it no longer has any relation whatsoever to the database. Okay, we've copied it. And that's important to understand, okay, for a number of reasons. But anytime you save a variable like that, you're creating a new thing in memory. It's a copy of what it was. A view is what it's called. Okay? Awesome.
So we can cursor execute a lot of stuff, and fetch all is what we just did. We fetched all the stuff. What other things did we do this week besides with the cursor execute? Did we change anything else behind it?
No, that's really it.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Executing queries. And just like anything that you want to do on the database, you have to do through the cursor, right? That's pretty standard across all packages. You're going to have to execute something. Okay? All right, so let's talk about the other thing you wanted to see done, which was joins. Okay, for that we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the database. Okay, so it was fun working with the code in regular Python, but now we're going to go back. So let's look at cursor.execute. And give me 1 second because I actually don't remember off the top of my head what the command is to list tables. List tables.
Fetch many. I've never seen fetch many.
This is pretty simple.
Row factory.
Okay, select name from SQL master. So we're going to try this. Okay. This is a lot. And we're seeing some things here that are not necessarily something that we need. Let me demonstrate something real quick. Okay, so what I did here is I selected the name from the SQLite master. That is, this is a special file that exists in all DB files or all SQLite compiled databases that comprises a list of all the table names. Okay, so each one of these, what's that?
I said, what?
Yeah. All of these are table names. Not all of them are useful to us. Okay. Some of them, like Django migrations, because this was compiled with Django, right? So it's got these Django tables that we don't need. SQLite tables we don't need. Auth group, we don't need that either, right? We have all these extra stuff. But typically, the things that you want will be at the end. They will, because all of this is created when the database is created. These are created when a user creates them, right? So that is typically how you can do that. This is obviously not the best, I guess, representation, right? But again, you have a list of tuples. You can use your imagination and find new and creative ways that you could filter this out with only the stuff you want, right? That being said, we can see that we have a couple of tables here. More importantly, and here's Django session. We don't want that. Character creator, character inventory, and character creator inventory item ID. Does anyone have the schema for this? So I can kind of get a realistic example of a join. Because I don't remember this off the top of my head. I'm doing a lot off the top of my head, and I cannot remember the schema. Oh, here we go. I got it. Okay, so let's take a look. This would typically be the first step in, you're going to be doing the same thing when you get your sprint challenge. First thing you should do is open that schema and start learning the layout of these databases, right? All right, so these lines connect different databases to one another. Okay. Typically they're set up kind of like this, where all of the lines kind of go to rows and reference that row. So character ID is referenced on all of these 4 databases, and character creator necromancer is only linked to character creator mage. Okay. Armory item is linked to character creator inventory and armory weapon. Okay. So we've got a lot going on here. But essentially, we have everything that we need to create a table. So what if I wanted to, I'm going to pick something simple here. If I wanted to create a table that only comprised the character creator mage and character creator cleric, how would I do that? Any ideas?
Interjoin them together.
Interjoin?
That's what I said, yeah.
Okay. He's like, did I stutter, fool? Do it.
No, you made me second guess.
He's like, that's what I said. Okay, so I need character ID and character PTR ID from that table. Okay, so let's take a look here. We're going to be executing another command. And what we're going to do here is cursor. Oop. All right, here we go. So you'll notice I did the three quotations. It's just so I can do a multi-line string. That's going to be a formatting technique that I use to keep this a little bit more organized. Okay? All right. So I need to select basically 2 things, right? I need to select the character creator mage and character creator cleric. I'm pretty sure this would just work if I, hang on one second. I don't think that's a good example. Take a look at something real quick. I think armory. I think I need to go to another table. I think I need to do like armory, and that. No, that's gonna be 2 jumps. That's gonna be here to here.
Is that gonna be too close to what we're doing on the sprint challenge?
No, I'm actually looking for. It's going to be too complex. You have to do a two-way. You have to reference a third to get out onto another table. Intermediary, and I don't like doing that. Trying to think. I don't want to do this merge, or rather, I should say join. Could do like this, maybe. Yeah. Could probably get character creator inventory for the clerics. Character ID, item ID. So let's take a look at something real quick. So let's work this out in steps. I'm going to select all from the table character creator underscore cleric.
Can you say what you're trying to do again?
What's that?
Can you say what you're trying to do again?
First thing I'm going to do is get the output from just one of the tables.
Okay.
Okay? And we're going to go ahead and close that off and do our fetch all. So we can take a look and see what that looks like. Okay, cool. So it's got three things, it looks like.
Beautiful.
Right? It's got our character PTR ID, using shield, and mana. So there's three total values in these tuples. That character PTR ID references back to the character ID from character creator, which references the character ID here for inventory. So I think what we can do here is a join on this. I'm going to try it. Hang on one sec. Yeah. No, that's going to be a reference. But that's a foreign ID. Okay. So what do I want to do here? Okay. So let's try cursor dot execute. Select all from creator. Need to do this with something that has something. Let's do the mages and necromancers. Actually, that's perfect. Okay, from mage. Nope, necromancer. All right, set the name. Character creator necromancer. All right. What's the syntax? Oh, yeah. And then left join. Mage. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Not exactly how I saw that going down. Does anyone see what just happened here? Oh, boy. Anyone got a clue what just happened here?
You.
Oh my god.
What did I do?
Go back
Scroll
up.
up.
What is it that I have done?
Something about necromancer, and you left joined. You put a semicolon after left join without specifying what you want to join on. So what's happening?
No.
How is that even working then?
Okay, what is it doing? It's created a list of tuples. These are all the same. Right here up to this point here. All of these are the same. And you can tell if you look here, 100, 100, 100, all these in the 292, that's the index. So what it's done is it's taken all of the mages for each entry in Necromancer. But it's only the Necromancers. Does that make sense?
I'm confused how the left join even did anything. if you didn't specify where to join off of. You just said left join necromancer, okay. Or not necromancer, left join character mage, and then nothing. Or you're not specifying what IDs to match on.
Oh yeah, what column to match on, right?
Yeah.
And
So that's something I can do.
every entry of necromancer.
I thought that was the problem when I saw it.
All right, so let's try something different. Select all from character creator. Row. Answer. Yeah. Left. Join character creator. Mage. What would we need to do? Something like ID for the column?
Yeah, on. Is there on?
If you do it like that, you're gonna alias the character creator mage as ID. There you go.
Say on ID. Right?
There you go.
Is it called ID?
No, I think it's actually called character
_ PT ID.
Why can I not spell today? PTR ID. Fun fact: this stands for character pointer ID. All right.
Pointer.
Yeah, it's weird. All right. And then the semicolon, right? Because we're done with that.
Wait. I thought you'd do equals character pointer ID equals the previous table or the other table, right?
Yeah, so that's gonna
Yeah,
equal
yeah.
them mage pointer or whatever.
So that's going to be character pointer ID equals mage pointer ID.
Yeah, should do.
And then you also have to specify which character pointer ID because there's multiple character pointer IDs. And
Oh, we're referencing the
The
we're
table
referencing the
tells
only
you
two
that.
things it's going to be looking at. So mage is the character pointer ID. Let's see what happens. Same thing. Okay.
So you're trying to like end up with the necromancer's armor or something?
No, I have no idea what I'm doing, man.
At least you're honest.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no task. You haven't given me a thing to do, so I'm just sort of winging it, trying to see if I can get this left join to work. Okay, so select all from character creator necromancer, and I really don't know if that's even. We should do mage
Push.
where character pointer ID equals. Yeah, actually, I think character mage. Yeah,
Alias that is CN. Oh, never mind. Too late.
it's already done. Left join character creator necromancer on this be character PTR ID equals what? Character or mage PTR ID?
Yeah.
Right? And then we're done. So it should look like this.
Except that's
Look
just
right.
going to give you your necromancers, right?
Let's take a look. Oh, I forgot to do fetch all. Ah, darn it. Hang on. That's annoying. Yeah, you got it. Cool. Yes, that works. Awesome, right? Actually, you know what it did? It gave us all the mages because all the necromancers are in mage.
Mhm.
But yeah, you kind of see the idea, right? See the idea. You can see mage pointer ID equals character pointer ID equals the character ID, which can equal this character ID. But if you reference the item ID from that one, then you get this item ID from armor item, and you can can get the weapon. So if you follow this sort of relational track, right, you can get all of the weapons from the necromancers, right? And that's just sort of a couple step process. Does that make sense? You would not use left joins to do that. Anybody want to tell me why?
Be excluded.
I did like 10 left joins.
I know you guys did so many left joins, and I didn't do any, and I'm like really confused.
Well, I did left joins at first because I didn't know that using the from that you can pass in multiple tables at once. So it was like, okay, I guess I have to do this with one table. So I just left join everything onto that one table.
Oh my god, man!
I mean, it worked.
Yeah, I guess it did. Yeah, no, you can just reference all the tables because this is the same thing as this, right? In fact, I think if I just cursor execute, what the heck? Like super time.
He even brought it up during the lecture. He was like, someone had like a whole bunch of left joins.
Yeah, he was really concerned about that too. Like, why?
Because I did not know until after that you could pass them multiple tables.
Page. Right. If I just do this, for instance, it's the exact same thing, right? Actually, I think not so much. It's on 302. No, that's the same thing. So that's the exact same thing, right? And then this one's different. Does anyone know why? Why is this one different than this one?
They passed in the two other parameters from the other table.
No,
none could.
We have the thing that's only available in the necromancer table.
Yeah, that's what the two nuns are, right?
Yeah,
coming from the other table.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You said that. You said that, but I didn't understand it. Okay, yeah. So it has the two things from the necromancer table, right?
Yeah.
Not all mages use talismans.
Exactly, which are available down here. So that's kind of the idea. You want to reference this other database to get the relationship thing that's going to give you the information that you need. And what do I mean by that? Well, we could interjoin, or rather we could select from character creator character, where character ID equals, or rather do an interjoin on necromancer, and then reference that from character creator inventory, right? To get this armory or item ID. And that would be able, then we could compile a list, right, of all the items that they have, and then subset that list by just weapons. Okay, and that's just an example. I don't feel like writing that code out right now, but if you understand how these things go together, it's not too complicated to figure out. But yeah, that's what we did. We added this in. When we did that left join, it just gives us nuns because these mages don't have anything from that other table, right? So remember when we worked with pandas, how if you do anything other than an inner join, you are going to get what?
Nulls.
NaN values, right? You're going to get nulls.
None.
Exactly. Non. Non-bread's really good, by the way. Love it. I'm hungry, if you can't tell. Anyways, so that's why left joins are kind of pointless in that respect. Because we don't need the cross of two tables plus all of the other table. We just need we needed an inner join. Right? We only cared about those tables. Or in this case, you could actually just reference those tables because they're already split for you. Right? Does that make sense?
Sprint challenge in a nutshell.
Yeah, you're gonna need to do something like this. You're only gonna need to do one complicated join, and I think it's for a stretch goal.
Nice.
Okay. Everything else is going to be pretty much copy paste from what you did with the RPG database.
What makes the join complicated? You're talking about like
when you need to nest
steps?
when you need to be able to nest a query. So
Nesting
when you need to query a
statements.
query.
That's not that bad.
It's not that bad. No.
I just imagine it like you're creating another table, but you're actually not.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I think of it.
Yeah, no, that's really what that's really what you're doing. Right? and you do it backwards, which is a really fun thing. So your outside query should be the last query. The first query that you type is the last query you want to run, right? Kind of deal. And you work them backwards from the outside in. So in this case, I would do, if I wanted the item IDs, then I would reference the weapon IDs. I would reference, select, select all from armory weapon, and then from another query matching these two together, right? Getting back to this database. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does it?
Yeah, to me.
Okay, just making sure. So, for instance, I think actually if I wanted the armory weapon from here, I would need to do 1, 2. I think I would need to do 2 nested queries. Am I wrong on that? Let me see. It's you. Right.
Or multiple joins.
That's not right. Poop. Stop it. There we go.
Control C.
I got stuck in it. It wouldn't let me out. Actually, I would have to seriously sit down and think about how I would do that. I would have to first select. Okay, it doesn't really matter. You the only thing you're going to have to do is reference 1, right? So you would just do an inner join to get that information. Okay. Like you'll have to reference. I think it's a table that has just 2 keys on it, right? To get to another table that has the information that you need. Does that make sense? So you would have to go from character creator to the inventory to get to armory item, and that's it. That's as complex as it gets.
That's not bad.
Challenge. Yeah. That's it. And then being able to do like a simple group by and maybe count. That's all. Cool. All right. Jacob, you had a question about, I wrote down data structuring. What was your question? I have no idea what that means. I can't read my own notes.
So like taking your SQLite 3 and putting it into Postgres.
Okay. All right. So the transition from SQLite 3 to Postgres.
Yeah.
That really actually, I think it comes down to what we did the first iteration. So where you have your SQLite information, right? So you take character creator character, and you want to save that, right? As a table, right? So character creator table, remember, is this information. That's the whole first
table in a database.
Such character creator character table, and then you want to put this into Postgres. You would need to run another command. Now, once you have this information stored, all you would need to do is open up your connection to your SQL or Postgres database, and then run your queries, right? So with your PG open, you would do your PG cursor, dot insert, I think. No. Do I have? Oh boy. If I was more prepared, I would have had like a Postgres open right now, but I didn't really think about it. So let me look up the syntax for it real quick.
My terminal is so messed up now.
Okay, so it just uses execute. All right, so we do the same thing. Nothing really changes. You would do PG cursor. Do it like that. Execute. And then the same thing, right? You would do create table if not exists, right? The name of the table. And then from here, you would need to do, let's see, creating a table. Let's look up address create table. So literally just looking up the documentation for how to create table name, and then column type. So that's going to be like this, and then you create a tuple, and that's going to have the column names and column types, comma separated. So that's going to be name, text, right? Actually, let's do ID, and then that's going to be int primary key, and then name, text, or you do varchar, which is just
characters.
Yeah, variable characters. I think it allows everything in numbers, like all alphanumerics and numbers, stuff like this. And you can do not null. So all of that, all this stuff is coming from the Postgres documentation, right? I literally pulled it off this. That's what I'm looking at. It's the Postgres tutorial. Okay. So when you're not sure about what SQL commands you need to be running, that's SQL. You need to go look at the SQL that you're trying to run. So that's SQLite 3, that's Postgres, whatever you're trying to write in. Make sure that you are familiar with where that documentation is. Okay. That's where I'm getting this stuff from. Right. And then once you're done, you just close it up like you normally would. Right. We're done with that, and we're done with that. Yeah. And now we need to, or rather, close that, and then, yeah, that's right. And then fetch all, or no, wouldn't have to do that either. It's not going to run because I don't have PG cursor, but that's the type of command you would run to create the table, and then you would do something very similar, right, to actually put something in it. Insert into, right? It's going to follow the same basic ideas. I'll say Postgres insert into. Cool. And what is it? Insert, and we can insert into table name as an alias. That's optional. The column name and then the value, default value, values. So we're going to be insert into table name, columns, and values. That's it. So how would that look? That would look like insert into CC table, right? And then a parentheses enclosed, ID, name, strength, etc. Right? Values, ID, 01, bdog, 1,000 or it's over 9,000, right? Etc. And that's it. Then you wrap that up and you're done.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing. That's the process. Now, how you choose to go about automating this process is up to you. There's 100 different ways to do it, right? So if you have a bunch of data that you've pulled out of CC table, right? You effectively have this thing, right? Don't you?
Right.
If I look at CC table, and I just get the first one, that is exactly what that thing is, right? So you might have saw those F strings. What good does that do? Well, that means I could do something like PG cursor execute, and instead of just the 3 quotes, I'd now add an F, meaning I'm going to be formatting this. This is going to be a formatted string, okay? And I say insert into CC table, ID, name, strength, etc. Values. But now, instead of creating the parentheses, I just do this.
Ah.
And that is a valid command. That's going to execute exactly the same way that this would, assuming that these were the same. Okay? So what if I did something like for I in range length of CC table? Right?
This code might actually run.
Range length CC table. What is that going to do? Didn't do anything. Apparently I suck. What is the problem? For I in range. File for I in range. Okay. Oh, I forgot a parentheses. Syntax error. For I in range length CC table. Right? I say, and now from this point, I do PG cursor dot execute. Right? An F string. Insert to my table, right? I got to give it the things that I want to give it: name, strength, etc. Values, same thing. But now instead of this, I put I in there. So now this counter that's counting down all of the index locations in this list, right? It's just going to go through and systematically execute this command over and over and over again for every row, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly what I wanted to do. That sounds wonderful. Sounds like a lot less freaking typing. So I would run something like that, right? It's going to say it's not defined, but that's a command that would work. Okay. There's other ways to do it. That's just one. And I encourage you to kind of investigate. You will not be required to do that on the sprint challenge, but it's a really good skill to have. I think it's something that you should all be pretty familiar with.
Cool.
Right. Iterating commands is super helpful. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I actually just completely demonstrated your assignment for yesterday. Here.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually the process.
Exactly.
Hmm?
Exactly.
Okay. But, that's just one way to do it. Any other questions? Anybody have anything they want to see me do over here?
Making a CSV into a database, or the database.
Making a CSV into a database. Okay.
If nobody else has anything.
I don't think so. So
I would like to see that.
Okay. Let's take a look at. Trying to think how I want to do this. I don't have a CSV in this file folder right now, so let me. Yeah.
Titanic.
There's
right
one.
there.
It's actually a freaking Microsoft Excel file. What?
Who did that?
Right. That cannot be right. Give me this thing. There we go. .csv. Okay, just had to make sure because I haven't set up this operating system the way I want it yet. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this and oh god, go over here, and we're going to paste that shit. There we go. All right. So now I should be able to see that here. I don't want to do all that. Okay, so I'm going to import pandas SPD because, come on, really? This SPD. And then I'll say df equals pd.read CSV, Titanic, CSV, and make sure that came in right. Cool deal. It did.
So right now, what you're doing has nothing to do with your pip-end.
What's that?
What you're doing right now has nothing to do with your pip-end, correct?
No. Where did that come from? What were you thinking of?
You're in Python, not your pip-end environment.
Correct. I'm in the Python interpreter right now.
Right. Okay.
But it's using the Python and only has access to the packages that I installed in my pip environment.
Okay.
Okay.
And because you installed pandas earlier, it's there.
Correct.
Got it.
For instance, if I it's a import Flask. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a thing.
Got
Okay.
it.
All right. So I've got my my data frame. So I want to kind of iterate over this and try to figure out what format that I need to get this into, where essentially I'm back to this list of tuples. Okay. Because again, if I can do this, I can do anything. Right. So let's look at this. df. Or rather, let me show you. So I did a search. Convert data pandas data frame. Oh my God. Use pandas.dataframe.toRecords and list to convert a pandas data frame into a list of tuples, and then step-by-step instructions. Wow. Did y'all see that? That's Google Foo skill right there. Actually, I had no idea that was going to happen. That's just makes me feel really bad that I spent like 30 minutes trying to figure that out by hand. Anyways, so it gives me step-by-step instructions. It gives me a minimal reproducible example. But in this case, I know that if I have the data frame, then I can do records as df.toRecords with index equals false. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let's see if it matches what we want to do. If I just do df.toRecords, by the way, it doesn't save this at all, this change. Right, it's just going to print it out for us. And wow, that is exactly a freaking list of tuples. That's all of them. Right?
That's awesome.
So I can just do that. I can say data equals df dot what was it? Two records. Yeah, dot two records. And I want to keep the index, so I'll just throw it in there like that, and then say, for row in data, do some things. Right?
You're quoting me.
Start working that process out. Just the same way that we just did it before. Right? Exactly the same thing. Nothing changed.
One command is awesome.
I had no idea either. I had not done it that way. I've never done it that way. That's the thing you can do. 2 records. Does all the hard work for you. Right? But all I had to do was I literally just typed in the thing I'm trying to do. I'm trying to convert a pandas data frame to a list of tuples. How do I do that? Step-by-step freaking instructions. Right there. And it works. And because I'm in the REPL, right, I don't have to struggle. And I don't point this out. If I was over here and I wanted to do all this, I'd have to make sure I go, okay, import pandas as PD, and then come down here, two enters because that's PEP8 compliant, right? And then all my code over here, and then save it, come back over here, exit, Python, run it. Do you see the issue already here?
Yeah.
Right? It's not economical. It's not fast, it's not efficient. If I'm in the REPL, I can just do my code line by line. Right? Make sure it works, and then go back and copy it into my script. Save, and I'm done. That's it. Right? Because I know it works. And in fact, anything that you do here, if you were to execute code that connected to a database, made a change, saved, it all actually happens. Right? This is arguably more powerful. Like this over here is arguably more powerful than this over here. Right?
Is there a way to access your REPL's history?
I think not on this one, not on the regular REPL, but if you have IPython, you can. Let me demonstrate the difference. Python brings you to the regular REPL. IPython is a slightly different REPL. Okay?
That looks familiar.
It does look familiar. Right? But you can do history with this, and it gives you history. So far, I have one thing. It was history. Right? But if I were to do like import pandas as PD, df equals p dot data frame, one freaking 3, and we're just gonna call that good. It's a series, whatever, right? And now do history. It gives me all of that.
Cool.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely is a way.
That's handy. Thanks for the demonstration.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm like. The command line's your friend. Don't be scared of it. Right? Everyone. I spend most of my time in the command line. I had this thing up, and I never even used it once. Right? Because I'm so comfortable in here now. What's that?
A rec array. I didn't know there was such a thing as a rec array, or a record array is a NumPy type that gets output when you two records.
Oh, this thing? Yeah.
Yeah, because there was another step of putting in a list, so I was curious because it was a nice format. Looks good.
Yeah, I know, right? It comes out really nice too. But which I think is actually what you just said. But yeah, and then this,
but it's not as useful as a list.
What's that?
It's not as useful as a list for our purposes or whatever.
Okay, yeah, no, I think it's in actually a tuple. Let me see.
No, I mean I converted it to a list for the steps that we showed before.
Oh yeah.
On whatever you Googled, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're pulling it in. So.
Got you. Okay, but yeah, it kind of does the work for you. I mean, that's like I said, it's just one way to do it. Rec array is actually something I think that Pandas created, or NumPy did. I think it's I think it might be a method that they use, but it's not an official Python data type, so it's something that you would have to convert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. But yeah, do you guys have any other questions? This is IPython. It's super, super, super handy for that history function, right? So if you're doing this and you want to REPL this, but you want to have a record of everything that you did, definitely use IPython.
Can you save your history?
Yeah, you can save it. In fact,
so you can make like a py file or something.
Okay, so you can emulate this behavior by adding this to your startup script. That's not what I want to do. Here we go. This is some shorthand notation for just getting a couple of key lines, but you would -F and then the location to the file, right? So let's do that now. Let's do that live. History -F, and then I want to just put this in. Do I need to have it in a string? Oh, just do a test, and then my history.py. Oh, I didn't find it. Okay, so I need to do. There we go. And there it is.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it actually records every single thing you do. So all your screw ups are going to be here too. You'll have to, just erase those things real quick. But you have everything that you did. Right.
So how do you reset it? Just log out and log back in?
You could comment when you go like, oh, that was a mistake.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Let me give you an example.
The record. Or like make sure you remember this one because this one worked.
Yeah, and I could be like, okay, 1 and then 1, 2, 3. Oh, but wait, I forgot to import pandas, right?
Nice, that's beautiful.
Oh, file, history. Oh, it's actually not spelled right.
makes
yeah,
like integrating the process of commenting your code a lot more like natural.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it didn't actually update. It's weird.
Beautiful.
Histotry should have updated. Didn't. Weird. Let's save. There it is. So you can see I did this one, right? And then df, oops, forgot to import pandas, and then that.
Oh, that's beautiful. They should teach us this instead of Colab at first.
Yeah, I didn't find out about this until Unit 4. Very frustrating.
And it was that on the Spider had that you had it integrated into that? Like
yeah, Spider uses IPython by default. Yeah. But it all works the same way. Okay.
Does kind of side tangent, does Spider have autocomplete?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, it's really built for Python use, isn't it?
More or less, yeah. Yeah, definitely built for this type of work, right?
Right.
But yeah, no, it's up to you what you want to use at the end of the day. What'd you say?
Well, I sort of got the impression it's like oh, the science ID, and then I was like, oh yeah, we're doing data science.
Yeah, no, everything that we're doing is definitely science related. And actually, I can go ahead and just stop screen sharing, I think. Hopefully, I mean, I know this was maybe not much better than Mike's lectures, but hopefully this has been helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
My
again,
brain.
What's up?
I don't know what's going on. I do not understand directories in Linux. It is the most confusing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
What you talking about, Willis?
Hooray.
I thought they were super easy.
Oh my god!
Yeah, sure.
I do not know
What's going on?
Okay.
Yeah, I thought Unix directory setups were super easy.
Simpler, right?
Okay, so
simpler.
I got pipenv to work now. It
Cool.
works outside of the thing. I don't know how I did that, but I figured it out. I had to do a bunch of weird stuff.
Cool.
So I got I also changed my Python version, so the default is 3.7.4.
Excellent. Where's it at?
But the problem is, but it like changed. I didn't set it to that. The user bin Python was the 2 point something version. Now it's this version. But if I do,
yeah, it's gonna upgrade. No. It's gonna change that now. Yeah.
Yeah, I redirected my default Python outside of my Conda environment to this, and then when I exited out of my terminal and went back to it, it was saying it was this, and then it updated 3.7.4.
Okay. So if you do, exit out of your Conda base, your Conda environment, and then launch Python. And you can see you're using the 3.7.4 from Anaconda.
But how did it change directories? I didn't change this directory right here used to be the 2 point something version, and then I redirected it.
It is.
No. This was 2.7.4 or something like that, and now it's 3.7.4.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, okay, my default Python outside of Conda was 2 point something, so I redirected it so it's getting the Python from the Anaconda one, because that's the Anaconda one is the 3.7.4.
Okay.
And I changed the directory somehow, and when I did which Python on this, where did I do it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. I'll show you what I did.
Oh, you did a command line. Oh boy. Oh boy.
This is all the stuff that I've done.
This is what he's been busy doing the whole time. I was sudo update alternatives install user bin Python.
That's the old. This was 2.7.4, and then I changed the alternative to this, and then I set it to that. And then it worked. It changed the default version.
You pulled that command off of Stack Overflow, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
No way I would have pulled this shit out of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. So, type in Yeah, X out of that. You don't want to run that command again.
And then also my this is broken now, which is nice. It doesn't work anymore.
Outstanding. User local bin pip.
Everything is broken now.
No module name pipped internal CLI.
I mean, everything works fine. It's this now, but
yeah,
this now.
Yeah, you don't have.
I
pip.
don't understand.
Do wish pip 3. There you go. Do pip 3 list. No.
Oh.
There you go.
What is this?
You're not using pip. You're using pip 3. And that is all the stuff it looks like for your.
What is Macaroon Bakery? What is happening?
That's the stuff for.
I didn't
for
install
Mint.
that.
No, that's the stuff for Mint. Mint's using that. That's Mint's.
I have like 45 versions of Python. I don't even remember installing this many versions. Yeah. How does it happen?
Do conda activate and then do which pip.
We're doing the thing.
I have like a whole nother Python inside of an Anaconda base. What?
Yeah, no, you do. Anaconda doesn't. Anaconda's not Python. Python is in Anaconda. It's a storage place for your Anaconda. You need to understand that you're on Linux, dude. Linux uses Python under the hood, right? So it has its own version of Python. You don't want to mess with that.
Oh, I was about to say, I'm about to like reset everything. I was going to delete every single version of Python and just
no, don't do that. Linux uses Python.
Yeah.
Okay, you will ruin your OS. Don't delete Python. That being said, Anaconda 3 has all the stuff you need. So you just be using the Anaconda 3 pip, the Anaconda 3 environment when you're building your pip-imps and stuff. Okay? I had to do the same thing, dude. It's weird. It's weird. But you don't want to use the system Python. You want to use your personal Python.
I don't even know which is which anymore.
That's the problem. It's very confusing.
I have 45
Anaconda only Python stuff. So if you see user bin Python and that's what you're using, that you're using the wrong thing. You need to stop.
Wait, isn't that what I'm using
does
here?
Windows have a default Python too?
No. What is that?
Oh no, and actually, hold on.
You're in base.
Yeah, I was about to say it.
Meltdowns now.
It's just pulling the first thing off of. So which is just matching the first thing off of your path that has a python.exe, or rather a Python file. And in this case, that's user bin Python. That's the default system location for Python. That, in fact, that version of Python is still 2.7. I think it's actually 2.17, 7.
So this Python is, since I redirected it is this, but which is pulling the first Python it sees, which is this.
Yeah, it's not the one that you're going to be using. It's just the first one that shows up in your path. Okay, you have multiple in your path.
Which all the time.
So this chain of is actually good now, since I'm not using the Linux Python.
But you're not in your base environment, so pip will not work because it doesn't have access. The regular pip doesn't work. Yeah, pip 3, but that's your system pip. You don't want to be pip 3 installing anything ever. Okay, you should be in your conda base whenever you're installing new packages to use.
Yeah.
And if you're in pipenv, you should be using pipenv to install new packages.
Yeah, I just wanted to have pipenv here because I always see people saying like, "Oh, you got to exit out of your Anaconda environment, or your Conda environment, and then use pipenv outside of it, so you don't accidentally use your Conda environment."
Yeah, you don't want to use Conda environment packages in your pipenv.
But also, I think if you do like this, and then you like pipenv shell, I think it uses the pip environment as the priority over the base if you have base activated as well, right?
It should. Yeah. Let me be clear. I've seen it not do that. Okay. Good. So yeah, exactly. So just to be on the safe side, make sure that you pip list and you only have the installed packages that you expect to see.
If I could pip list anymore,
you can. When you're in your
inside a pip list.
And inside a pipenv.
Pipenv, yeah.
And when you create a pipenv, you can do a pipenv pip list from the pipenv environment, and it will work. Okay.
You should be in charge of teaching environment management at the beginning of Unit 2.
Yeah,
People need to understand these things. People didn't even have answers for this. They're like, I'm not even sure how
must have
they
been
would
on.
cooperate and what might happen. Yeah.
See, the problem is that I encounter these problems and I cannot accept I don't know as an answer. So I dug.
It's the worst.
Yeah. So I dug in and I found the answer.
Past that, those drools forward. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I understood these things, but only as a matter of like mistakes and courses. Many mistakes and flexing.
Your snake's huge.
That absorbed a lot of time that I couldn't afford.
That's cool. Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a great way to do it. Yeah, so you can see there that you have pip, setup tools, and wheel, which is just the bare bones basic. But you can do pip lists because of it.
Where are these coming from?
It automatically installed them.
Also, does pip environment cache memory? Because if I delete these and I recreate pip environment, it will still have the. So it's like, for example, if I like pip install pandas and install pandas into the pip environment.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because the environment lives somewhere else, not just in the pip files. Is that what you're implying?
All right, and I got.
Hey, you got the big snake. I want the big snake.
I don't know how that happened. My terminal is broken. Okay, see, now I got pandas, right?
Mm-hmm.
NumPy, because that's the dependency for that. But exit, and I can ls, and then remove these.
Yeah.
And then pip install. And I do pip shell. And I do pip list. It's still there, even though I deleted the pip lock files. Why is that?
When you look at what it's doing.
Yeah, look, scroll up a little bit.
I mean, you can see it right there too. Like it's launching a virtual environment. Well, okay, yeah. When it creates it, it's like creating this environment in a completely different directory that has nothing to do with the current folder. It's like stored in other.
Mm-hmm. Where is it stored? How does it know that?
It says, okay, look down a couple lines. Home, AGN, local, share, virtual environments, test, binaries, activate, blah, blah. So like there's another place. Is this the old one right here? Virtual environment stuff is.
You never removed it. You have to do pipenv -rm.
And pipenv dash.
Oh, is that actually how you remove it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you just delete the pip file and the pip file.lock, you still have that virtual environment.
What's the command? Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is the correct way to remove a pip environment, right?
Yeah, do it.
-rm. Well,
yeah, do it real quick.
Isn't there something where you can look at the ones that are on what environment you have created?
Okay, so this is where everything is stored here.
Yeah.
Not
and you can do
in my directory.
-list, I think, to show all of your virtual environments. I'm pretty sure it's -list. No.
Is that what you were just asking, C?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just like looking at help. Yeah, there you go.
It's gonna be.
Somewhere. I see that somewhere.
Why would you ever want to manually create a log file?
There's a reason for it. It's nothing I'm ever gonna do.
Okay.
You never enjoyed a home cooked pip log file before. You don't know what you're missing.
Oh God, no. Yeah, that sounds horrible.
What would this do? Graph. Oh my fucking God, what is that?
This gives you all the excuse me. Okay, so it's pipenv -venv.
Get me to it.
Yeah.
It only checks for the directory I'm in.
Yep.
Oh, so if I go to
I'll tell you where you're at.
Is that a thing? To check environments for everything.
Oh, for everything?
Rather than the current directory.
Let's see.
Because if this is set up correctly, I shouldn't have any environments outside of my base since I just installed pip environment outside of base.
Oh, well, in that case, you probably just want to navigate to where your pip environments are stored. So you would cd into your virtual IMS folder. It should be in home. So LSA, your home.
What?
LS-A. No, not CD. You're CDing. Stop that. No. The dash is a dash, not a slash.
Oh.
Not a slash.
Wait.
There you go.
Okay.
And you see that you have you'll have virtual IMS. Where's it stored at?
Yeah.
Is it because I don't have any?
Local share virtual. It's different.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
What are these files?
Just a bunch of stuff.
Is this equivalent to this
Share.
in Windows?
No. Windows creates these dot folders too, in the same place.
It's in local.
Go create it.
Mine
was always stored in home virtual IMS.
Well, when you just printed that, pip and the end.
Yes. Yeah. Can you scroll up to where?
Oh yeah. When I recreated it and it right here, it is in my home.
Yeah.
Home, Adrian, local, or so dot local.
Oh, it's in dot local.
Okay, so go to dot local. Scroll down. I
Can
can barely hear you. See?
I know.
I think that's the problem.
Headset on or something.
Okay. Yeah. So CD
because I'm being a smartass.
and CD into dot local. LS. Yeah. Share.
Good bin. Oh sure.
LS. And now you have virtual IMS here. So CD into virtual IMS. LS. Oh, you got quite a few.
Oh. I'm trying to comprehend. So this shows the virtual environment from the virtual environment I created with
pipenv
on the base.
With pipenv.
With pipenv.
Mm-hmm. Pipenv does this. Conda has nothing to do with it.
No, but I have pipenv installed in both my Conda base and now outside of my Conda base, and all these environments here were created in the Conda base. So how is it pulling out of these even though I'm outside of it? How does it know these?
So that is where the black magic trickery comes in. It's not very simple to explain how that's happening. But understand that there are imagine for a moment that each of these has a little thread on it. And anytime that you reference pipenv goes to a configuration file, which has the storage location, which opens that up, executes the script that gets all the information out of it. It all happens very fast, right? So you have a permanent reference point to all of these pipenv.
Listen, on Windows, my pipenv folder, it has a dot at the front of pipenv. It's a hidden, does it work okay, I don't know how to ask the question right. I have a folder pipenv, but with dot pipenv. Why it's like that?
The dot stuff is just it's kind of a convention for application configuration folders. You should have dot matplotlib, dot.
I do have Anaconda, Jupyter, all of them are dot. Yeah.
And that just means typically you won't be going in there. That's why it has a dot there. It lets you know that that's a special folder.
It's weird. I think in my case, it's in just wrong place because as soon I'm going to the C users, Yulia, and I have all of these folders. It's not in one folder. It's they're all separate folders, Anaconda, AstroPy, Conda, Config. It's all visible.
Yeah, no, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's by design.
Oh my god, it's so confusing.
Just the reason why they have the dot there though is because that way they'll all be grouped at the top when you sort. So when you open it up, Just double share my screen real quick. Give me 1 second. Right, if I go over here and look, you see the same thing here, right? And I know that all of these folders can be ignored.
Oh, that means something wrong with my computer because I have the same thing. I was thinking that I'm uploading, installing, and doing so much stuff that it seems like my computer changes. Like it's getting close, so I just messed it up completely.
And you might have it looking.
I'm forgetting what
this.
kind of packages I have or I don't have. That's why I'm just. I think sometimes I'm overwriting or putting in the wrong folders or wrong directories, like some of the installations. And I'm afraid that because every time we're studying something new, like I'm adding stuff, but I think sometimes I forget what I add, like install something different, which can like fight with the different programs, you know? Okay, whatever. I'm
Oh
just
yeah, that makes sense. But you're not doing anything wrong. And organization is is something. It's a skill that you get better at over time. Also, sometimes keeping track of what files your computer or programs are making, it can just be plain straight up difficult. These are all automatically created files and folders. You don't need to worry about them. All of these with the dot in front of them. But Anaconda 3, this is something that you'll be messing with, right? But if I look at Anaconda over here, I have this navigator and it's got some weird stuff. Yeah, I'll never be touching this. Right? This is just a storage place for files that Anaconda is going to use. Okay. That being said, whenever you're working in your environments, like over here, right? When I want to do something, one of the first things that I do, because I'm in PowerShell, I can't even see if I'm in a pipenv, right? Oh wait, I was. Right? So that can be rather confusing for me. So I always need to do a pip list real quick. And if I see this vomit, then I know I'm accessing my base environment. But I don't have base appended, so that means I need to that I'm not actually in the environment. What does that even mean? That means if I go into Python, I'm still going to have access to these packages, but the way to get into the environment is to actually activate that, right? And now if I pipm shell, right, to get in here, nothing gets added, but if I pip list, I only have the certain packages from my shell, right, my virtual environment. Does this make sense? This is a way that you can keep track of what you have, what packages you're working with. Julia?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that you break my mind again. Because I was thinking with deactivating Conda before going to the pipenv shell.
Oh, yeah, you can. I mean, that's good practice. Rather, Conda deactivate.
And when you're going to pipenv shell, you're going to have the same list, yeah?
Yeah, I'm already in it. You can't see because I'm on PowerShell. I want to stress that. If you're on PowerShell, you don't see that appendage, that prefix. Okay? So that's just for mine. But if you're on command prompt, you will.
It's another thing that everybody is using different terminals and different editors and version of table plus, SQLs. And it's just confusing also because when people are sharing something or having questions, like maybe I have the same question, but it looks different because of the terminals or because of the editors, and you're just not getting that it can be useful for you or opposite.
Yeah, no, I spend a lot of time Googling, especially when I'm trying to help somebody with ZSH, right? The Z shell. If they're on the Z shell, I'm definitely going to be on Google. Because that shell just makes absolutely no sense to me. And even worse than the Z shell is the C shell. There is 4 types of bash shells: shell and then bash, which is just, they're 2 different things. And then you have command prompt, PowerShell, git bash. I think those are the primary terminals. So there's You get like 5 flavors of Bash, Command Prompt, and PowerShell. Is effectively where we're at.
Why are you using Windows PowerShell? Like not a command prompt or something?
I started using it, or rather started learning it a little while ago, and I kind of like it.
Okay. Yeah, thank
That's
you.
it. Mm-hmm.
Do we have anything else for today to do? Like what
I
you're
don't think
doing
so.
during what else during this support hours?
It's been 2 hours. It's 8:11 now. Time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Do you still have questions?
Not about this. Like I just was waiting when you finish it because I wanted to ask if you're gonna have support hours only with me, like wherever has to have like what's required.
Yeah, no, totally. We can do that tomorrow.
Okay, that would be great because I want to discuss the last week.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's popular because of the upcoming spring challenge, but I need to get over the last spring challenge.
Totally understandable, right? You don't like having that thing, hanging over your head. I get that. Yeah, we can definitely do that tomorrow. It'll probably be right after lecture.
Okay, just text me exact time that I'll be ready. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay,
I appreciate you guys coming in. Like I said, I hope this has been helpful. Not the best presentation because I kind of just came up with this on the fly, but if you guys have questions about any of the things that you've been doing this week, shoot me a DM about it, and I will totally take the time to debate that. Okay? Sound
Cool.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I learned some things.
Outstanding.
Yeah, good night, guys.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. I'll see you all in the morning.
Thank you.
You got it.